Get some!
Do not disappoint us. Whoa! Hang on! You took everything from us! No need to hold back. Go for it!
Hey, welcome to Attack the Stack. If you like that, try this. Tokio Xanadu is an action role-playing game developed by Nihon Falcom. The game is part of the Xanadu series and was developed out of Nihon Falcom's desire to create a game of a different type and setting than their other role-playing game franchises, The Legend of Heroes and Ys. The game features party-based real-time combat, dungeon exploration, and social simulation gameplay elements similar to Persona games. You play as Ku Tokisaka, a high school student who lives in Morimiya on the outskirts of Tokyo. He lives alone and has some part-time jobs. One day after work, late at night, he sees that his classmate, Asuka Hiragi, is around some bad company. Ku follows them to a back alley. When he tries to get in between them, he is sucked into a vortex that brings him to the nightmare realm, Eclipse. Afterwards, Asuka explains to Ku that she is a member of Nemesis, a group that tries to close the Eclipse vortexes for good. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel is a role-playing game developed by Nihon Falcom. It is part of the long-running The Legend of Heroes series. The basic gameplay is similar to the prequel Trails in the Sky titles with some changes. The biggest change in combat is the tactical link system, which allows players to follow up with 3 different kinds of link attacks, dealing additional damage and providing various other benefits. Tactical links become a more useful asset to the player as the story progresses and characters level up their link levels with other characters. The game's plot is centered around Rain Schwarzer and his fellow Class 7 at Thor's Military Academy, which is a newly formed class composed of both Erebonian nobility and commoners, being the only one at the entire academy that does not segregate based on social class. The game follows Class 7 throughout the school year from March to October, primarily focusing on their field studies that takes them to various cities and areas across Erebonia. The primary purpose of doing so is for the class to witness firsthand the reality of the empire that threatens to lead to civil war. The Caligula Effect is a role-playing game developed by Aquaria. An anime adaptation of the same name was also made. The game features turn-based combat and dungeon environments where combat is triggered upon encountering enemy characters during dungeon exploration. During combat, the effects of actions can be previewed before initiating them. A party consists of 4 playable characters maximum. There are 9 main characters that can be used in the party as the story progresses. Players can raise association with other characters by interacting with them, and characters can then be recruited into the party after obtaining level 2 or higher association. Certain characters are not accessible until specific associations are gained. After reaching a certain amount of association, side quests are unlocked for specific characters. The Caligula Effect is set in a virtual reality program known as Mobius, created so people can escape pain in their lives and live in an idyllic high school setting, forced to live out 3 years in school indefinitely. The main protagonist is one of a group who realize that they are in a virtual world and form the Go Home Club, a group dedicated to escaping from Mobius and its godlike overseer program. They oppose the Ostinato Musicians, a group who supports the program and sees the Go Home Club as traitors. Mind Zero is a dungeon crawler role-playing game developed jointly by Acquire and Class of Heroes developer ZeroDiv, and published by Axis Games in North America. The premise of the game has received many comparisons to the Persona series. The game's dialogue is fully voiced and takes place similar to that of a visual novel, while the game's battle system consists of turn-based battles. The game takes place in 2 different worlds, a real world and a crazy spiritual world. The real world aspect of the game is set in Japan, in the regions of Akihabara, Yokohama, Amamiya, and Nippori. Specifically, the game takes place in the Saitama Prefecture. The story is simple, revolving around a high school student, Kai Takanashi, and a group of other high school students who stumble into the outer realm and begin battling other minds and mind users to help protect and save people. Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE is a crossover role-playing game developed by Atlus and published by Nintendo. The game combines gameplay, narrative, and aesthetic elements from Atlus's Shin Megami Tensei and Nintendo's Fire Emblem series. The game centers around hostile beings known as Mirages, who seek to harvest energy known as Performa from humans and are responsible for several disappearances. The story follows a group of teenagers who become allied with friendly Mirages, based on characters from the Fire Emblem series, and merge with them to become Mirage Masters. Under the guise of the Fortuna Entertainment Talent Agency, the Mirage Masters fight to protect innocent people from the Mirages and find out who is behind the attacks. The game's story is split up into several chapters, with the player able to participate in stories for various playable and supporting characters, as well as take quests from non-playable characters in Tokyo. The game alternates between real-world Tokyo and the Idyllospheres, alternate dimensions where enemy mirages roam. Reception of the game was generally positive, and many praised the battle system. Fire Emblem 3 Houses is a tactical role-playing game developed by Intelligent Systems and Koei Tecmo, and published worldwide by Nintendo. It is the 16th entry in the Fire Emblem series. 3 Houses is set on the continent of Fodlan, divided between 3 rival nations now at peace, connected through the Garreg-Mach Monastery. Taking the role of a former mercenary and new tutor at Garreg-Mach, the player must choose a nation to support and guide them through a series of battles. The game carries over the turn-based tactical gameplay of earlier Fire Emblem titles, while incorporating social simulation and time management elements. The game released to critical acclaim, with critics praising the integration of the school system and battalion mechanics, narrative and characters, soundtrack, and replay value. The game would go on to win Best Strategy Game and Player's Voice Award at the Game Awards 2019.
しかし、突如出現した謎の怪物により、精神データの一部を破壊され、反デジタル状態
Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is a role-playing game developed by Mediavision and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment, based on the Digimon franchise. It is the 5th game in the Digimon Story series. Players control a human character with the ability to command Digimon, digital creatures with their own unique abilities who do battle against other Digimon. A total of 341 unique Digimon are featured in the complete edition of the game. In Cyber Sleuth, the player assumes the role of Takumi Aiba, or Ami Aiba, a young Japanese student living in Tokyo, while their mother, a news reporter, is working abroad. While Aiba is hanging out in a chat room, a hacker infiltrates it and leaves a message telling the members within to log into Cyberspace Eden, a popular physical interaction cyberspace network, to receive a wonderful present. Although most of the room members declare it to be too suspicious to involve in, Aiba, along with users Akino and Blue Box, decide to look into it. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory is the follow-up that was also developed by Mediavision and published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. It is set during the events of Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. The game features the same 341 creatures in total as the complete edition of Cyber Sleuth, and shares elements and locations from its predecessor, while featuring a new story. Players take control of Kaisuke Amasawa, a Digimon tamer who can command up to 3 of his companions in battle against other Digimon. Kaisuke's Eden account is stolen in a phishing attack. After the identity theft leaves him accused of a crime he didn't commit, he joins a group of hackers called Hootie and delves into the depths of Eden to find the real culprit. Blue Reflection is a role-playing game developed by Gust and published by Koei Tecmo. The player takes the role of Hinaku Shirai, a ballet dancer who due to a knee injury no longer can dance, but who is given magical power allowing her to fight and move freely. The game follows a day cycle, which sees Hinako attend school and spend time with classmates, and visit another world where she fights monsters in a turn-based battle system. By becoming close friends with her classmates, Hinako can use support abilities from them in battle. The player can also try to solve classmates' problems during their free time. The cause for their problems sometimes reside outside the real world, in the outer world. By visiting it, the player can seek out emotion fragments, which cause defects in the real world. After finding the fragments and overcoming challenges in the outer world, the player learns about the thoughts of the characters they're helping, and when returning to the real world, receives reward items and fragments. Blue Reflection is intended to be a portrayal of youth for women, focusing on the concepts of interaction between women and personal growth through sharing experiences with people. The World Ends With You is an action role-playing game with urban fantasy elements developed by Square Enix and Jupiter. Set in the modern-day Shibuya shopping district of Tokyo, The World Ends With You features a distinctive art style inspired by Shibuya. In the game, Neku Sakuraba and his allies are forced to participate in a game that will determine their fate. Elements of Japanese youth culture such as fashion, food, and cell phones are key aspects of the missions. While everyday life goes on in the real ground, the chosen dead are brought to an alternate plane of existence called the Underground. The Underground is also the venue for the Reapers game. By offering their most treasured possession to enter the game, the dead gain the chance to contest for the prize, to be brought back to life, or to transcend to a higher form of spiritual existence. The World Ends With You is arranged into 3 chapters based on the 3 weeks that Neku is involved in the Reapers game, with each chapter further divided by each day of the week. The player controls Neku and his partner as they explore Shibuya to complete each day's mission. Although most missions require completion within a certain time for Neku and his partner, this timer is not correlated to the passage of time for the player. The World Ends With You received positive reviews praising the graphics, soundtrack, and integration of gameplay into the Shibuya setting. Shiro Amano, writer and artist of the Kingdom Hearts manga, later created a manga based on this video game.
Who decided delusions were a bad thing?
We are going to eliminate you.
Akibas Beat is an action role-playing game published by Marvelous USA and P-Cube. It is the 3rd entry in the Akiba series, following up the release of Akiba's Strip: Undead and Undressed. The game is considered a follow-up to the 2 Akiba Strip games, but does not share any of its gameplay mechanics, instead focusing more on JRPG-related features and structures. The game plays as an action RPG with battles initiated once the player moves the playable character into an enemy character, sending involved characters into a separate battle screen. The game takes place in Akihabara and stars protagonist and NEET, Asahi Tachibana, living a regular life after deciding to drop out of college. Transfer student Saki Hoshino recently moved to the area and runs into Asahi. The game involves the party getting stuck in a world of delusions, trapped in a repeating day-long cycle on a Sunday. The party also keeps coming across a strange, unidentifiable man in a pink sash that always seems to be around when unexplainable incidents occur.
A lot of strange stuff going on. Let's do whatever we can to find a way out of this lockdown.
Ah! Don't come any closer! Help! Atsuru!
Yuzu! Oh, damn it! We're coming!
Persona is actually a spin-off of a larger series called Shin Megami Tensei. So here are some Shin Megami Tensei games like Persona. Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor is a tactical role-playing game in the Megami Tensei series developed by Atlus. Devil Survivor is set in modern-day Tokyo and follows a 17-year-old student and his friends, who see an outbreak of demons with some of them becoming their allies. The protagonist also finds he has the ability to see a person's remaining lifespan and decides to work to avoid as many deaths as possible. In the game, the player and computer control a number of squads composed of 1 leader and 2 supporting characters. Between combat, the player can explore several districts in Tokyo to either advance the plot by speaking to specific characters, discover new information, or take part in free battles. The narrative can branch in multiple ways that result in different endings, which depend upon the player's decisions during critical moments throughout the story. The game was designed to appeal to newcomers of the genre. Critics praised the storyline and gameplay, which allowed for multiple playthroughs. The series also received a manga adaptation. Plus, a sequel, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2, was later released in addition to an anime series for that sequel. Devil Summoner Soul Hackers is a role-playing game developed by Atlus. Forming part of the Megami Tensei series, Soul Hackers is the 2nd game in the Devil Summoner sub-series. Soul Hackers takes place in the fictional Amami City, a technologically advanced Japanese metropolis. The main protagonist, a member of a hacker group called the Spookies, gains access to the closed beta for Paradigm X, an online game designed to connect to the citizens of Amami. While in there, the protagonist encounters supernatural forces, then must work with the Spookies to investigate attacks by demons across the city. Aiding him is Namisa, a demon who possesses the body of his friend Hitomi Tono. Players navigate dungeons in a first-person view in which they solve puzzles and fight enemy demons in turn-based battles. The player always has 1 or 2 human characters in their party, and also has the ability to summon up to 4 demons who fight on the player's side. Players get access to demons by choosing to speak to enemy demons and negotiating with them. Players are able to fuse several of their allied demons into 1 single demon. The game has generally garnered a positive reception.
Yes, I'm afraid he's not quite.
Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse is a post-apocalyptic role-playing game developed and published by Atlus. It is set in an alternate version of the universe in Shin Megami Tensei 4 and forms part of the Shin Megami Tensei series, the central series of the Megami Tensei franchise. In Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, the player takes control of a demon hunter named Nanashi in the year 2038 as they explore a variety of locations including a post-apocalyptic Tokyo and the medieval kingdom of Mikado, all within the same setting as Shin Megami Tensei 4. 25 years prior, a devastating war was waged between the angels and the armies of Lucifer, and through a certain turn of events, Nanashi becomes a god slayer. Most demons and large number of mechanics are also carried over from the game's predecessor. During battle, both players and enemy actions are governed by the turn-based press-turn system, a battle system carried over from previous entries in the series. The system revolves around exploiting physical or elemental weaknesses and landing critical attacks. In addition to fighting them, demons can be persuaded to join the party through negotiation, this being the only way to gather a playable party. 2 or more demons can be fused into a new form, granting new abilities. During fusion, players can choose which skills are retained and which are discarded. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey is a role-playing game developed by Atlus and Lancars. The story follows a special task force sent by the United Nations to investigate the Schwarzwelt, a spatial distortion that appears in Antarctica and threatens to engulf the world. Players take control of an unnamed protagonist, navigating the environments of the Schwarzwelt in first person. Combat involves the player and recruited demons fighting against various enemies, with the protagonist having the option of talking with and recruiting enemies. Depending on choices taken in the story, multiple endings are unlocked. Strange Journey Redux adds an additional character and story route. The setting in Antarctica was chosen to appeal to an overseas audience. Alongside the new setting, the game featured multiple science fiction elements new to the series, taking inspiration from films such as Damnation Alley and The Thing. For the music, Shoji Meguro used grander musical styles than his previous works, incorporating choir music using a special synthesizer. Reception of the game was generally positive for its story and gameplay.
A lawyer's job is done once he proves the defendant innocent.
Judgment is an action-adventure game developed by Ryuga Gotoku Studio and published by Sega. It is a spin-off to the Yakuza series. The game follows lawyer-turned-detective Takayuki Yagami as he and his allies explore a case involving dead bodies whose eyes were removed. The player controls Yagami in the fictional Tokyo district of Kamurocho, where he fights thugs and Yakuza while carrying out side missions which involve chasing, stealth, and searching for clues. The game was written by Toshihiro Nagoshi, who wanted to write a new type of story which contrasted the team's work in Yakuza with a detective case. As a result, the game was created to be accessible to detective game newcomers. The game features an investigation mode where the player must search a scene for clues and evidence of a crime. Players must infiltrate areas to gather information or find objects of interest. The game also has sections where the players must pursue a suspect. The game received a generally positive response from critics, with many praising the game's plot and side content. Danganronpa is a game franchise created and developed by Spike Chunsoft and published in North America and Europe by Nice America. The series name is a compound of Dangan, meaning bullet, and Ronpa, meaning refute. The series consists of 3 main titles. Various manga and novel adaptations and spin-off series have also been released, and 2 anime television series have been produced. The series follows groups of high school students who are forced into a killing game. Gameplay in the main Danganronpa games is split into 3 main sections: Daily Life, Deadly Life, and Class Trial. Daily follows a standard visual novel style as players explore the school grounds, converse with characters, and move the story forward. During designated free time sections, players can choose to interact with the character of their choice, learning more about them and earning new skills that can help them in the class trial. Deadly Life is the post-murder investigation part of the story, in which you have to search around certain rooms and gather clues for the class trial. The class trial is the main gameplay mode of the series, in which students discuss amongst themselves who the culprit is. This involves various different types of minigames, the most common of which is the non-stop debate. Here, characters will automatically discuss the case, and it is up to the player to spot contradictions in their statements and shoot them using truth bullets, containing the corresponding evidence. Other gameplay types include shooting letters to spell out a clue, using rhythmic button presses to argue against a specific character, and constructing a comic strip depicting the events of a murder.
これまで考えたことがない可能性に気づけるっていうかさ。
Catherine is a puzzle game developed by Atlas. The story follows Vincent Brooks, a man who is beset by supernatural nightmares while torn between his feelings for longtime girlfriend Catherine, with a K, and the similarly named beauty, Catherine, with a C. The gameplay is divided between the daytime, where Vincent interacts with the characters in a social simulation, and his dreams, where he must navigate three-dimensional towers through combined platforming and puzzle solving. The game's ending is affected by choices made by Vincent over the course of the story. Catherine was developed by the same studio behind the Persona series, including producer and director Katsura Hashino, character designer Shigenori Sojima, and music composer Shoji Meguro. Reception was generally positive, with critics praising its mature subject matter and gameplay. The game was nominated for several awards.
I'll do it. I'll take the baton my grandpa left behind to protect my mom and the...
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki. The plot of the series is divided into 8 story arcs, each following the adventures of a new protagonist bearing the JoJo nickname. The anime television series adaptation is produced by David Production. The studio has adapted through the series' 5th part, Golden Wind. A live-action film directed by Takashi Miike and based on the 4th part, Diamond is Unbreakable, is also available. The manga, TV anime, and live-action film are licensed in North America by Viz Media. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is famous for its iconic art, style, and poses. Frequent references to Western popular music and fashion, and creative battles centered around stands, psycho-spiritual manifestations possessing unique supernatural abilities. Each of the series' 8 protagonists is a member of the Joestar family, whose mainline descendants invariably possess a star-shaped birthmark above their left shoulder blade and a name that can be abbreviated to the titular JoJo. The plot of each part generally consists of this JoJo gathering a group of allies, mastering their supernatural ability, battling various enemies, and ultimately confronting the part's powerful main villain. The first 6 parts of the series take place within a single continuity whose multi-generational conflict stems from the rivalry between Jonathan Joestar and Dio Brando, while the latter 2 parts take place in an alternate universe following a continuity reboot where the Joestar family tree is heavily altered. The series has sold over 100 million copies in print to date, making it one of the best-selling manga series in history, in addition to its large media franchise.
I'm no expert or anything, but I wouldn't really consider this place safe.
Darara is a Japanese light novel series written by Ryogo Narita, with illustrations by Suzuhiro Yasuda, that has also been adapted into an anime series. Darara tells the story of a Dillahan working as an underworld courier in Ikebukuro, an internet-based anonymous gang called the Dollars, and the chaos that unfolds around the most dangerous people in Ikebukuro. The narrative follows all of the characters equally, showing how their lives intersect and create a greater plotline from each character's knowledge about a common incident. The story is told from the perspective of approximately 11 of the main characters and changes every episode in the anime, sometimes even more often. One of the few constants given in every episode is that the narrator gives their own opinion on the current situation that they are in, as well as what things that make them tick and keep them going in Ikebukuro, a city with a large underbelly that is the medium for the majority of both the plot's development and random violence throughout the series.
Don't let anyone tell you there's no future in a life of crime, because some rackets can last forever. But we'll get to all that immortality.
Baccano, Italian for Ruckus, is a Japanese light novel series also written by Ryogo Narita and illustrated by Katsumi Inami. The series, often told from multiple points of view, is mostly set within a fictional United States during various time periods, most notably the Prohibition era. It focuses on various people, including alchemists, thieves, thugs, mafiosi, and camorristi, who are unconnected to one another. After an immortality elixir is recreated in 1930 Manhattan, the characters begin to cross paths, setting off events that spiral further and further out of control. The novels were adapted into a 16-episode anime television series directed by Takahiro Omari and produced by Brains Base and Aniplex. Funimation dubbed the anime episodes in English. The anime adaptation of the series has received significant praise for its plot, characters, strong dubbing, animation, and musical score. If all of that wasn't enough, here are some games that are spin-offs from the Persona series itself, including the recently released in Japan and hopefully coming to the rest of the world, Persona 5 Scramble. Most of these games don't play like Persona, but if you love Persona, you should try them out. Some of them are even sequels to the main games, such as Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and the aforementioned and, again, hopefully upcoming Persona 5 Scramble. Oh, and we threw in some anime based off the main entries in the series. Check them out.
おかしい。崩壊してねえぞ。すべて真実よ。目の前に広がる何もかもが。
If you liked the video or it helped you out, click the thumbs up button below. It really helps us out. If you think it could help others, share it. Of course, subscribe for more content like this and more. And if you have anything to add to our list, feel free to comment below. Thanks for watching and keep attacking.